Tucker!
It's a trap.
It's a what?
It's a trap.
What? Oh no, oh no, Tucker! Oh no, please! I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad I'm not hung like a bear.
Tucker and Dale vs. Evil is a 2010 horror comedy starring Tyler Labine and Alan Tudyk, and it focuses on the duo coming across a group of college kids near their cabin in the woods and, due to a series of out-of-context moments, miscommunication, and characters relying on stereotypes, the two groups accidentally get locked into a conflict with each other, with Tucker and Dale believed to be evil hillbillies who have kidnapped one of their friends and are going to kill the rest of them, while the duo believe the college kids are a bunch of suicidal teenagers that want to commit a suicide pact and take them down with them. The film absolutely relishes in black comedy, frequently making light of even the most outrageous and abysmal situations. This doesn't mean that the film is all jokes, however. Certain aspects of the horror is completely played straight to emphasise how messed up a situation is, and the main characters have a lot of depth and insecurities to them that make it easy for the audience to connect with them. But alongside the dark humour, one of the key reasons I like this film is the messaging. Now before we move on to the theme of this movie, let's do a quick recap on what's happening in the film. We start the film with a brief news segment where the news team is covering the scene of a serial killer, before they are brutally killed, before cutting back to 3 days earlier. As some college students are making their way to a remote area in the woods to party, coming up to a gas station to get beer. Along their road trip and in the store, the two are stared at by two hillbillies, Tucker and Dale, causing the group to feel threatened and intimidated by them. The film then stops following the students and starts to follow the duo. It is revealed that these two are actually two good-natured, freedom-loving people, and that the only reason why they were staring is because Dale has a crush on one of the girls, Allison. However, due to his awkwardness and meek demeanour, he comes across as less socially awkward and more sinister and irrational, causing conflict between the two groups.
Whatever you say, just smile and laugh. That shows confidence.
Going camping?
We then see that the duo arrive at a cabin they intend to fix up as a holiday home, and we see that the cabin is covered in crime memorabilia and human body parts, which the duo mistake as someone who's just interested in the local history and hunting trophies. We cut back to the college kids around a campfire as one of the kids, Chad, details a story about 20 years ago where another group of friends were in the same woods they were, where everyone except for one person was killed by the murderous hillbillies. Later that night, the two groups end up at the same lake, Dale and Tucker doing so while fishing, while the kids are going out skinny dipping. When Allison sees the duo staring at her, she freaks out, accidentally slips, and hits her head as she falls into the lake. As the duo attempt to save her, the kids come across them putting Allison in the boat, and due to a series of misunderstandings, believe that the two are trying to kidnap Allison and then them.
Ah, we got your friend!
Oh God! They got Allison!
In the morning, the kids spot the cabin that the duo are staying at, and begin to spy on it while another goes to get the sheriff. Meanwhile, Allison wakes up at the cabin, and despite the initial misunderstanding, she quickly realises that the duo aren't trying to hurt her. As the kids try and approach the cabin, Tucker accidentally slices through a wasp hive, causing him to freak out and scare the kids, with one of them dying in the process. Tucker returns to the cabin and tells Allison that he saw her friends, and then the duo go out to try and find them. Meanwhile, the kids come across their dead friend and believe that the duo are hunting them, hiding from them in the woods and once again misreading a message that Dale leaves for them. Back at the cabin, Allison helps Dale dig a latrine, while Tucker is using a wood chipper, and the kids decide to attack when they believe that they're making Allison dig her own grave, with two of the kids dying and Allison getting knocked out in the process. The duo then begin to believe that the college kids are actually part of a suicide pact, trying to kill themselves as well as the duo and Allison as some sort of bizarre suicide ritual.
I know what this is.
What?
This is a suicide pact.
Is a what?
These kids are coming out here and they're killing themselves all over the woods.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense.
As the duo attempts to sort the bodies out, the sheriff arrives. While the sheriff does initially believe that the duo might be killers, he does agree to listen to them, although when he starts to believe them, he is killed by a faulty beam in the process. When one of the kids grabs the sheriff's gun to use against the duo, he accidentally kills himself when taking the safety off.
Don't do
Chad takes the gun and forces a duo inside, before taking Dale's dog Janglers hostage. Dale distracts the kids while Tucker rescues Janglers, although he is attacked and captured in the process, with Chad cutting off two of his fingers and placing them for Dale and Allison to find. When Dale goes off to find Tucker, Allison explains that this is a misunderstanding, and that the group just thinks that Tucker and Dale are creepy, hurting Dale's feelings. As Dale finds Tucker, the kids try and rescue Allison, who tries to explain that this is all a misunderstanding. As the duo arrives back, Allison tries to mediate the situation and talk it out. We then find out that the survivor from the previous group of kids was Chad's mother, who was institutionalized due to her trauma, and he explains that this is why he hates hillbillies. As Dale tries to explain his side of the story, the other kids arrive and attack the group, causing Chad to try and kill the duo as well, which accidentally ends up with the rest of the kids dead and Chad severely disfigured.
Maybe we should help him. Never mind, let's go.
As the trio try and get away, Dale crashes the truck, leading to Chad to kidnap Allison and forcing Dale to come rescue her. Dale arrives and fights Chad, rescuing Allison and discovering that Chad's father was actually one of the hillbillies that attacked his mother's friends 20 years ago. Dale then uses Chad's allergic reactions against him, causing him to go stumbling from the top floor of the wood mill that they're in, seemingly dying. As stated at the beginning of the film, Chad is still alive, having now become a psycho hillbilly killer that he claims to hate. Tucker is in the hospital recovering, with the doctors having found his fingers and reattached them. Well, at least they found someone's fingers and reattached them.
I remember that one looking that way.
We then see Dale and Allison on a date at a bowling alley, having finally started a relationship. Honestly, I just love this film. It's a film I go back to whenever I want a good comedy film to laugh at. The movie is well shot, well edited, has a lot of good practical effects, and it's very easy to engage with the story, keeping us entertained with the action and the comedy while breaking it up with some very well acted emotional moments. If I had to list some negatives, I would say that it's pretty obvious that this film didn't have a massive budget, having a small band of actors and pretty much being set in one location. Hell, according to Alan Tudyk, both the main characters only had one pair of clothes to use for most of the shoot. So when it comes to using CGI, it unfortunately doesn't quite stick, especially when compared to the practical effects. Now, there's been plenty of films before this one that focuses on the idea that different groups of people aren't just one-dimensional individuals and have a lot to offer on a personal level. But I think that Tucker and Dale vs. Evil works so much because of the group of people that the movie chooses to use for its themes, making it come across as less pandering and preachy and more just plain good writing. I mean, we've had plenty of discussions throughout the decades about black people, Asian people, straight people, gay people, Christians, Muslims, Jews, and about how they're represented in society. But hillbillies? I think this was one of the first pieces of media I saw that didn't portray them as either aggressive evil assholes or complete bumbling morons. Now, the main characters that this theme works so well on is Dale, Tucker, Allison and Chad. Besides the fact that he doesn't like fishing, Dale seems to be the run-of-the-mill hillbilly. He didn't pass school, he struggles with words, he has a big dumb dribbly dog and he loves the idea of living in a cabin in the woods. However, despite his bumbling nature, he's actually extremely kind and thoughtful, and while he may not have good academic intelligence, he isn't dumb, possessing a variety of different knowledge and seemingly having a photographic memory, with these abilities coming in handy later during his fight with Chad. Then we have Tucker, who is even more of a hillbilly than Dale, loving to fish and drink in whatever situation he's in. However, he's a lot more academically intelligent than Dale, being more adept at social situations and being able to use words that Dale is incapable of even thinking of. He can be a bit hot-headed at times, but he does try and be thoughtful with his words. Overall, both of these characters may not be academically gifted, and their simplistic and rougher than normal lifestyle might seem a bit uncivilized in this day and age, making them come across with sinister intentions. But that doesn't mean they're brainless or uncivilized, and in fact just want people to live freely. There's also several times throughout the film that they're able to get things to go in their favour, either due to quick thinking or resourcefulness, showing not to underestimate them. Then we have Allison, and at first she comes across like the rest of the group, a self-entitled teenager that isn't too bright and is obsessed with drugs, with Tucker even acknowledging that there's plenty of girls like her. However, as she talks to the duo and we get to know her better, she's got a lot of ambition and empathy for others. She grew up on a farm, not having much and having to do a lot of handy domestic skills, which explains why she's a lot more carefree now that she has gained more in life. She is also very concerned with people's mental health in the modern age, thinking that people are too afraid to talk about their feelings about themselves and others, and wants to become a psychologist to help people learn to talk about things in a healthy way, with this ambition being a key point for later in the movie. And finally, we have Chad. Like the rest of the group, he comes across as an airheaded college frat bro who just wants to party, but is ultimately just trying to have a good time with his friends. And had this just been a straight up horror film without any of the subversive writing, then Chad would most likely be the hero of the story, a young guy who's a bit of a jerk but ultimately wants to protect his friends, save Allison, and kill the evil hillbillies, especially when you add in his tragic backstory. However, Tucker and Dale aren't horrible monsters, and all of their actions are down to miscommunication. So over time, as it becomes more and more apparent that the hillbillies aren't trying to do anything to them, and are in fact willing to talk about the situation to sort things out, Chad's actions are framed less and less heroic until he ultimately becomes the villain of the film, showing he cares more about his prejudices and being a hero to the group than doing the right thing. So yeah, this is definitely a film I love to rewatch. It's only about an hour and a half long, there's a lot of clever dialogue and comedy put into the movie, there's plenty of horror and gore elements, it's got decent cinematography and editing, and I think all of the actors do a good job of what they're given, and I would highly recommend you check this film out if you haven't already. So thank you lads and lasses for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, checking out some of my other videos, and even consider my Patreon. I'm also on Twitter and occasionally I do live streams. But overall, I just hope you all had a good day and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.